Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this careers showcase event for site managers at JM Bentley. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you this evening. My name's Judith Jeffrey. I'm the HR director at JM Bentley, and I'm joined this evening by a number of my colleagues who you can see on the screen now, who are going to tell you a little bit about themselves and their careers with us, and talk a bit about the company, who we are, what we do, the main clients that we work with, but most importantly, give you a flavour of the opportunities that exist with us and the role of a site agent with JM Bentley and what that involves. So we have some people on the call and some people who've asked for a recording of the call. So we are recording this session and we want it to be informative, and we want to make sure we answer your questions. So for those who are less familiar with Teams, on the toolbar at the top, you can see a speech bubble. That's the chat feature. If you click on that, it will open up a window at the side of the screen where you can type your questions in, so that we can make sure that at the end of the session, we answer all the questions that you've got and you go away with the information that you want to know. So I'll get started by passing over to Richard Risden, who's going to tell you a little bit about JM Bentley.
Thanks, Judith, and welcome everybody who's joined us and those who'll pick this up with the recording later. So I'll start with a brief introduction to myself. So I'm Richard Risden. I'm Operations Director with JM Bentley. I've been with the business about just a little over 22 years, so joined in 1999. In that time, I started out as a site engineer. I've spent time working as an estimator. I've spent time working as a project leader on the design side. I ran our QES team for a time, and I've also spent time through the operational line as a site manager, contracts manager, operations manager, and obviously now as an operations director. And there'll be a theme that a few people will introduce themselves through tonight, and you'll pick out a theme that a lot of those people have developed through the business. So joined in one role and then moved and developed into more senior roles as their careers progressed. So a little bit of an introduction to the company then. So the next slide just has a bit of a timeline. I'm not going to talk through every point in there, but I just want to pick out some key points from that. So the first bit, if you go right to the far left-hand side, is the company was formed back in 1972. So it was our 49th birthday yesterday, coincidentally. So coming up to 50 years now. In that time, across all of that timeline, we've delivered projects across civil engineering, but some building as well. Back in the early days, that was a lot centred around Skipton, where our head office is for local businesses, including the local water corporations at the time. When privatisation came around in the mid-90s, we started to do quite a bit more with Yorkshire Water. And then if you fast forward to sort of 99, 2000, when Yorkshire Water first decided to award longer term frameworks on a design and build basis, we joined together with Mott MacDonald and formed a joint venture of MMB, Mott MacDonald Bentley. And then from the 2000s onwards, we've continued to work for other water companies. I won't go through the names because others will pick those up, but not exclusively water. As we get to sort of where we are now in 2021, we're a business of about 300 million revenue. So it's bounced around that for a few years now, employing around about 2,000 people, and a kind of a mix. Those people are across design, site-based, and then office-based and support staff. In the 22 years I've been with the business, we've remained profitable through all that. There have been some bumpy periods, but we have remained profitable, so we've never lost money in that period. And been a family-owned business for much of that time. We've never lost money. We've never relied on borrowing. And then one bit I did miss on that, if you go into 2014, we actually joined the Mott MacDonald Group, so we were acquired by Mott MacDonald. So we kind of at first had that relationship in 1999. We became part of the family in 2014. So we moved from a family-owned business to an employee-owned business, which is Mott MacDonald. You just skip on one for me. So if that's a view of time, where we are now, about 85% of our work is with water companies, and I guess we have a pretty strong reputation in that, and a very good footprint in terms of market share and coverage, but we're not exclusively water. As it stands today, about 15% of the work we do is outside of water. That percentage does vary. So at times it's been as much as 40% outside of water, currently about 15. And that 15% covers different sectors. So some in environment, some in highways, some in commercial, and later Anne will sort of touch a little bit more on the clients that we work for in those sectors. But I think the important thing is a lot of what we do is water, but not exclusively. So if that's about the company in terms of what we are, what sort of values we have and what does it feel like in the business. So a word that crops up a lot from people who work in the company and that we kind of hang a lot of our strategies on is the word care. And like I said, being a family-owned business, there was sort of, you might call them traditional family values. It was very much a team effort. Everybody cared for what everybody else was doing. That's stuck with the business over the years. And there are three things under there that are really dear to us. And that is, first up is happy people. If we care about the people that work for us, we know they're going to be happy in what they do, and happy people are more productive. And let's be honest, people spend an awful lot of time at work, so you may as well have a smile on your face while you're there. Caring about money, we are a business, so we do care about making a profit. That's important to us. As we've got a profit, it's more to invest back into people and to help us grow the business. And when people care for money, then we know we make more. So that's important to us. And then the last on the list, but by no means least, safety. Now we think of safety as being a condition of employment, but what we really want is for people to care about the safety of themselves and those around them. And we know that when people care in that way, that we are safer, less people get injured, and more people go home safe at the end of the day. So care is a thread that runs through our business, and I'd hope that comes out when you listen to some of the others talk and explain a little bit about their careers in the business. So I'll pass on to John now. He'll give a bit more sort of flesh on the bones of the structure of the business.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name's John Greenwood. I'm an operations director for one of the 4 units that the business runs, which is Unit A. So I predominantly look after our Anglian water frameworks, and I also look after Thames Water, one of our newest clients into our portfolio. A little bit about my career history. Very similar to Richard in many respects. I've been here 24 years. In this time, I've managed to become a chartered engineer, and I recently became a fellow of the Institution of Civil Engineers. All of that has been supported through the experiences and the opportunity that the business has given me. I started in 1997 as a site engineer. I moved through many different roles operationally, from site manager, contracts manager, framework manager. I worked as an estimator and even a QS for a period of time. I was appointed as safety and engineering director in 2012 before taking on the operations director a few years ago. The reason I wanted to highlight that is that's a key aspect of our business. As Richard mentioned, caring about our people. We want them to be happy and fulfilled in the opportunities that we give them. So promoting from within is a key sort of business trait that we do. Giving people the opportunity to grow keeps them happy and keeps them engaged. So if you want to move the slide on, please, Charlotte. So a little bit more about the structure and the way that we work. We work using what we refer to as our triangle model in the top right-hand corner, which takes an operation, commercial and design lead at all the different levels in the business. Aligning these roles together makes sure that everybody is supporting each other across what a project needs to be successful. So whilst we're kind of recruiting for J.M. Bentley, you're more than likely, if you join us, work on an MMB framework. And the MMB frameworks, as Richard explained, was a joint venture company that was set up between J.M. Bentley and Mott MacDonald. Obviously now we're all part of the Mott MacDonald group, so it's all one big family. But the MMB culture has allowed us to be pretty unique in the industry. We're a fully formed company, and that culture has enabled us to ensure that the project goals are always at the heart of what we do. We work together without internal commercial arrangements getting in the way, just to make sure that we deliver the right project for the clients, and we're all working together as one fully integrated, supported team. It was only recently when I was talking to one of the site managers on the Thames framework, somebody who'd recently joined us, that he pointed out to me how liberating he found working in the triangle model and actually the MMB way in terms of the support that he had when he had a challenge on site. I guess that is something that probably over the last sort of 20 years, I've kind of taken for granted now because I've been working in that way. So the graphic here also shows the sort of geography that we cover. Obviously, you can see we cover from right up in the north, up towards Scotland, across to Wales, and down into the south around Thames, in the Thames Valley, where the new framework has been established recently. So I'm hoping that across all of those areas, you can see a location that might be suitable to you. And I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Anne, now, who will go into a little bit more detail about the different clients and the areas that we work in. Over to you, Anne.
Hi everyone, I'm Anne. I'm one of the operations directors for JMB. So as with Richard and John, I've been with the business for a long time. I've mostly spent time in the design and build business in MMB. And I've done both design and operational roles. So I've crossed the divide in that sense, and truly have been working on both sides of operation and design. As John pointed out, we have a number of hub offices across the UK, and from those locations, we support our clients. And as we deliver approximately 85% of our workload for the regulated water companies, we have frameworks with the majority from Northumbrian Water in the northeast to Welsh Water in the southwest. And we currently have opportunities, as I say, across the board. Our frameworks with each of the water companies do vary, but most of our clients, we deliver a variety of work, from wastewater treatment works, refurbishments, upgrades and new builds, to cross-country strategic pipelines, as well as wastewater infrastructure projects. So we deliver everything from really simple projects, dosing rig upgrades or small infrastructure schemes, to more complex schemes, including new build water treatment works, wastewater treatment works, as well as works on impounding reservoirs and service reservoirs. And we work with our UK water clients in different arrangements, from alliances with Anglian Water and Welsh Water, and to more traditional type of arrangements, design and build arrangements, and in some places build only situations. So really, whatever your interests, we are likely to have an opportunity that suits your skill set somewhere. And in addition to the UK water sector, we also work with the Environment Agency, protecting people from the impacts of flooding, the Coal Authority, as well, improving river water quality, and protecting the environment from legacy impacts of mining activities. And we also work with various clients, Rolls-Royce, Cadent Gas, National Grid, and local councils delivering infrastructure works, so factory buildings, highways, car parks and electrical upgrades across the UK. So in summary, we really have a diverse range of work in both type and complexity, and I'm certain we have opportunities that would probably be interest for most of you on the call. I'm now going to hand you over to Ryan and Jodie. They're a couple of our site agents, and they're going to talk you through a little bit about more about what their day-to-day role entails in the business.
Okay, thanks, Anne. So firstly, just to introduce myself, so I'm Ryan Walters. I'm a site agent for JM Bentley MMB, working mainly in the Midlands and Severn Trent region, so Anne's unit. I'm going to talk you through a bit of my personal career journey, to hopefully give you an insight into the development opportunities that the company can provide. Next slide, please. Okay, so I joined the company back in 2012 as an assistant site engineer, fresh-faced 18-year-old, brand new to civil engineering. Obviously, having worked in that role for 12 months, I then enrolled onto JM Bentley's in-house civil engineering development scheme. That scheme is tailored to mirror the ICE attributes, so the Institution of Civil Engineers. So their attributes to provide a way of capturing all of your experiences and kind of evidence, if you will, that you can then use to work towards a professional membership. In 2013, I then kind of moved into more of a full-time site engineer's role, and also enrolled onto a HNC at university. So a little bit more of the educational side, as well as picking up that vital site experience. Started on taking on a bit more responsibility at work at that point in time. So getting involved in all different types of schemes. I was exposed to a range of different projects, such as clean water reservoirs, such as the one that you can see kind of in the centre of your screen. Full wastewater treatment plant upgrades, so new builds such as the one on the left. Some cross-country pipelines, and then also some smaller works, so pumping station refurbs and small booster stations. So really got a good flavour of all the different kind of aspects that we do as a company. In 2015, I then progressed into a site agent's role. So also carried on with the educational side of things and started to work towards a full-time bachelor's degree. So started to top up my previous educational studies. Also obtained my technician membership with the ICE at that point in time, using some of the bits that I'd picked up so far on the development scheme. Probably one important thing to mention around that time is obviously when transitioning between roles, it's important that your training's brought up to date. So the company has its own in-house training team. They fully manage and fund your training, and basically make sure that you've got everything that you need so that you can properly fulfill your role. Couple of courses, just as an example, that I was exposed to, so temporary works coordinator, SMSTS, so your normal kind of site manager safety training stuff, first aid, and things like CPCS, appointed persons for lifting, so making sure that you're kind of fully up to speed with all of those vital safety aspects that you need when delivering a project. Next slide, please. Carrying on then through years, so I carried on gaining experience on a variety of large schemes, taking us up until about 2018, which at this time is when I had completed my degree. So I got that bachelor's degree, got that solid educational base and knowledge to help me fulfill my role at work. And at that point, I was also offered an opportunity to do a slightly different role. This role was what we call the labour resource manager, or these days we call it a logistics manager. What that is, so as a company, something that we really pride ourselves on is having our own internal labour workforce. That could be anything from full teams or gangs, to plant operators, tradesmen and joiners, bricklayers, or normal general operatives and labourers. We've got a full kind of fleet of people that can deliver a variety of different things. In the role I was doing, so as labour resource manager, my role was essentially to manage that workforce, deploy them all over the country on the right schemes at the right time. Whilst that might sound simple, I'm sure quite a few people on this call would probably back me in as much that that is not an easy or simple task. And it's something that I learned a hell of a lot from. Gave me a massive exposure to the business, across the spectrum, and vastly improved my interpersonal management skills. I had no choice really in having to speak to people and really get to know people and get to know them as people, as opposed to just somebody on a screen or somebody that you might see flash up on a company newsletter or something like that. You really had to understand the people and get to know them. So having done that for around 2 years, I then returned to a site agent's role in 2020, and I was given responsibility for a large project, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little bit more detail now. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is Utoxeter. It's a Severn Trent water scheme. I won't talk you too much about the detail of what it is, but you can see a little bit from the photos what we were doing. So it was the largest site in a batch of what we call P removal schemes, for those of you that are familiar with kind of water industry terms. In terms of kind of what I was particularly proud of on the scheme, so we really managed to developer, fantastic team. So obviously with having all of these people in the company, dependent on the project that you're on, will depend how your team's structured. And as a site agent, you really do have that responsibility and that free rein, I suppose, to tailor that team to what you feel best suits the project. So in this instance, I had a team consisting of myself, we had a general foreman, we then had 2 engineers, one slightly more senior and one in more of an apprentice function, if you will. So learning the ropes exactly like I did all those years ago. Then also on the design side, so we have a project leader, different mechanical, electrical guys, and a lot of them that, you know, people had worked together before, so they'd built up that rapport and really understood how each other worked and how to get the best out of each other. That kind of carries on into the supply chain. So a lot of the suppliers that we use throughout the project, they were companies that had a historic reputation in JM Bentley. So we'd used them, you know, multiple times over the years. Some of the people in those companies were familiar with us as a project team. So I might have worked with people on previous schemes, and, you know, again, you have that rapport. So it really helps in bringing that real positive culture. And going back to what Richard said earlier about the happy people side of things, at the end of the day, if you know people and, you know, you have that almost relaxed relationship with them, then it really does generate a positive atmosphere throughout the life cycle of a project, which ultimately means you can deliver it efficiently, and, you know, we then make more money. And at the end of each day and at the end of the job, we walk away safely and with 0 injuries on the project. So I'm really, really proud of that, and, you know, really enjoyed working on the scheme. And yeah, it was a great experience. So I'll now pass you on to Jodie, who's going to tell you a little bit more about what it means to be a site agent at JM Bentley. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Hello everyone, my name's Jodie and I'm a site agent at JM Bentley. I've worked here for just over 5 years now. I originally joined the company as a site engineer, and after around a year I was given the opportunity to start looking after some smaller schemes as a site agent. So just a little bit about my background. Before I joined the company, I'd worked in the North East as a civil design engineer, focusing mainly on residential developments. After around 4 years of designing, I decided that maybe I would like to do something a little bit different and see the other side of engineering and construction. And I sent my CV to JM Bentley. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my current project, which is called Water UK. It's a Northumbrian water scheme which is funded and regulated by DEFRA. It involves the replacement and upgrade of various security measures on clean water sites to meet the required specification. Over the course of the scheme, we've carried on work on just over 380 sites spanning north to south, from Berwick to North Yorkshire and as far west as Cumbria. So the work involves replacing manhole covers, doors, bar sets and kiosks with security rated products, along with the construction of high security perimeter fencing. So a typical day working on the project would start at our site compound. It's usually located somewhere quite central to the batch of sites that we're working on. We would carry out a morning briefing and then load up materials and plant that's required for the day, which would then be transported to site by a haulier. The vast majority of the sites are in quite remote places, or they're just on the side of a road. So the day's work would be carried out, and then materials and plant all loaded back up again and brought back to the site compound at the end of the day. I think this project's biggest challenge was definitely logistics. Also, the sites usually require lots of different inputs from various suppliers and authorities and subcontractors, so being organised is very important. For example, a typical kiosk installation would usually require the delivery of the kiosk from the supplier to be arranged, traffic management, permits from the local council to set up the traffic management, permission sought through the client's estates team to travel through third-party land, electrical subcontractors' presence on site, procurement of correct plant and materials for the job, haulage of plant and materials to site, and also some sites would require overhead power lines to be isolated or BT cables to be dropped and then reinstated after we've finished our work. So on the slide, you can see some photos from some of the sites that we've worked at. The first one, which are the two pictures that are on the left-hand side, this was at Twizzle Booster Station in Northumberland. The work here involved installing 2 new security covers along with an oversleeve kiosk. And as you can see from the top left photo, the lifting area was directly underneath overhead LV cables. So we contacted Northern Power Grid, arranged for the overhead lines to be isolated to allow us to carry out the lift safely. The site team also included subcontractors who temporarily dropped an aerial that was next to the kiosk, and they also upgraded the alarm system as well. The second site that I'm going to talk about, those are the 2 pictures that are in the middle there. This was at Frosterley Booster Station in Weardale. This site had 2 security covers that needed to be replaced and also an oversleeve kiosk. Now the site location was very remote. It was half a mile from the main road through steep farmers' fields, and you couldn't get to it with a road vehicle. So we arranged traffic management on the main road to allow our materials and plant to be delivered to site safely. We also spoke to our kiosk supplier, and we opted for a flat pack style kiosk that came in pieces, and just to make it easier for us to transport it to the working area. So we used an excavator and a dumper to transport the manhole covers, kiosk, concrete materials and plant up to the working area, and then we used the excavator to lift the kiosk panels into place, and then we fixed them together. There was also a solar panel that was fixed onto the top of the existing kiosk. We had one of our subcontractors come to site just to temporarily disconnect that and then fix it onto the roof of the new unit on the same day. And then finally, the picture that you can see there on the right-hand side, this was at Toft Hill Treated Water Reservoir, which is in Bishop Auckland. Work here involved the installation of a bigger kiosk. And again, the site was located a little way from the main road. It was about 300 metres away, and the access was through very boggy farmers' fields. So we arranged for the traffic management on the road again. We had our excavator delivered to site, and we had the kiosk manufactured in 2 C sections. We used the excavator to track it up to the working area and lift it into place. One of the things I most enjoy about working at JM Bentley is that no 2 days are the same. I think this really helps to develop you both personally and professionally, and it helps to keep things interesting as well. I also enjoy being able to take ownership of the project that I work on along with the rest of the site team as well. Gives everybody a lot of job satisfaction when we come round to completion. Go on to the next slide. So I've been asked to give an insight into a typical day working as a site agent. So after travelling to site, the day always begins with a morning briefing. We usually discuss the tasks to be carried out for the day, along with any expected deliveries or visitors. We run through materials and tools that we'll need, along with any health and safety issues from the previous day. We'll also talk about the weather, if it will impact any of our planned work or potentially make it unsafe. And our morning briefing is really important because it gives us a chance to talk about the project as a team and get other people's opinion and point of view. If there are any visitors or new members of staff, this is usually when we'll carry out the site inductions as well. So after the morning briefing, the permits to work are issued alongside a check of the RAMs for the activities that are to be completed that day. Then I will take the opportunity to go out to the working area just before work begins and double check that the site team and me are all happy that we've got everything we need to complete the work safely and efficiently. Once the site team have been put to work, the rest of the day usually consists of planning and organising future work. Planning is so important to make sure that we can work in the most cost-effective way possible. Some of the typical activities that I would do in a day would be preparing RAMs and lift plans. We do that using our operational safety standard manual, which is really useful. We review and update existing RAMs, internal ones. We check subcontractor RAMs to make sure that they're suitable and up to date. We request permits to work from our client, order plant and materials in good time to avoid delays. We report health, safety, environmental and commercial incidents raised by site management, site operatives and visitors as well. We review and update the programme, sometimes alone or sometimes with the project planner. Check drawings and material schedules, compile progress reports for both internal use and for client updates as well. We carry out cost to complete reviews with the QS team, ensure that the standard of work completed on site is of a good quality, and help the site team work around any issues that crop up, and just generally ensure that the running of site is smooth and safe. I think that the skills and attributes that are needed to be a successful site manager at JM Bentley are that you must be motivated and self-driven, be comfortable with making decisions and taking control, good communication skills. I think that being able to communicate well with all members of the team and our clients is an essential part of a project success. Be approachable. If someone has a problem, you want them to feel comfortable speaking up. Be organised, as this helps us work efficiently, which means greater profit and job satisfaction too. And also, finally, have good problem solving skills, because things don't always go to plan. And now I will pass you over to Mike.
Thanks, Jodie. If you can just flick to the next slide. Perfect. So good evening, everyone. I'd like to introduce myself. I'm Michael Davis, and I'm an operations manager at JM Bentley. So what are we looking for in a site agent? On that slide, there is quite a few attributes that we're looking for, but that's what we sort of demand in our site managers. And to be fair, it could be for any role in our organisation. Now, I know it's hard to believe, but I'm coming to almost 30 years within the in the construction industry, and in that period, I've worked for 2 organisations. So I left university. I joined a medium to large family construction company, where I worked for until 2009, and then I joined JM Bentley in 2009, and I've been here ever since. So in my interview, I can remember being asked about the attributes that you see and whether I or my organisation had them. My answer clearly was at the time, yes, because I didn't have anything to benchmark it against. But after joining JM Bentley, for me, it was clear that we didn't really. Now, I'm not going to go through every attribute on there, but I'm going to ultimately pick a couple. And probably I'm going to take it from a reflection from my old organisation and my new organisation that I worked for many years now. I say new, but I worked here for many years. Now, Richard Risden, in sort of the introduction and probably the theme all the way through, talked about care. So I probably would just kick off around being care about safety. So again, I'm probably going to go back to my interview with the managing director, Paul Bentley, at the time. And he asked me the question whether he believed my old organisation had a good safety culture. And at the time I replied, yes. But on reflection and joining, I was clear that was pretty average. And that safety was something that we had to do, and not because we want to do, and to keep people safe. So at Bentley, this does not happen. And it was clear to me from the start, really, with the excellent process and procedures that we've got in place, to the industry leading behavioural safety programs that we run. Now, I'm pretty sure that most of the organisations sort of have that now, but bear in mind that was in 2009, and we've gone on from strength to strength with that. So in the last number of years, we have seen significant growth. With it, our safety statistics have been very good and continue to improve. So we work hard at our safety culture, and we work hard to ensure that we're keeping people safe because we care about our people. The next bit I just want to sort of pick up again really around is about care about money, or care about the commercials really. So again, on reflection of my last organisation, sort of looking after money was down to a number of roles within the organisation. Now clearly here it's a little bit different. We do work hard to come up with the supporting the client with some big innovation and saving money. But I was previously discussing by Richard, said that we've got over 2,000 people in the organisation. So by everybody doing their little bit can suddenly become a big number at the end. So we work hard around our cost and efficiency strategy, and our sort of like a personal commercial responsibility that absolutely everybody understands and buys into. And when we all do that, we make a big difference. Again, I've been here since 2009, and in that period, we've always been profitable. So what's being profitable? How does that, you know, the so what for me? Well, the so what means that if we are profitable, we get rewarded through bonuses. So since I've been here, that's been absolutely great, and for all the staff as well and employees. The next one there really is around client focus. So again, I thought my last organisation was good at client management and being client focused. But that's nothing compared to what we do at J&B Bentley and M&B. And you only need to see the number of clients that we've got in long-term frameworks and clients for repeat business. And Carol earlier on mentioned the clients that we've got, and that gives us, you know, secure work, secure turnover for many years to come. So it's in a great place to be. But the difference for me is that the client focus is by the majority. We all have a place to play in that. And the sort of the rule and the mantra that was always been sort of drilled certainly into myself, and I speak to all my teams, is if you do the right by the client, they'll do right by you. And to be fair, it's proved very, very successful for us. So I'll sort of wrap up really. So if you want to work for a great organisation and have the belief that you have the attributes on the slide in front of us, then we want to speak to you. So please come and speak to us. And just the last bit is that, you know, what are we looking for? We are looking for site agents at every level, really. That could be site engineers ready to make the step up to site agents, or experienced site agents that are looking for a change. So thank you. I'll hand you over to Diane.
Great, thanks for that, Mike. So hopefully you've all found that information really, really useful. Just listening to all the speakers, you can see the what journey they've actually been on at J&B Bentley and the amount of opportunities that have been available to them. So clearly it shows that, you know, with the culture of the company, you know, wanting to obviously support our employees and then the different opportunities that can be available internally as well. So as Mike just mentioned, there are a lot of opportunities available. So if you are interested in applying for a role, you can simply just go to macbentley.co.uk, have a search for site agents, and it will list some of the opportunities we've got available in the different locations. If you do have a look at the website and you feel that there's that the role you're looking for isn't displayed, do feel free to get in touch with myself or just email recruitment@jmbentley.co.uk. As the team have all mentioned, we are keen to see different backgrounds coming through and applying for our roles. So if you are interested in an opportunity, then we can obviously have a look and see where you could possibly fit in the business, whether it's a site agent role, a site engineer, or another opportunity within the business. So having said that, I'll pass over to Charlotte, who's going to lead our Q&A session for us this evening.
Oh, thank you, Diana. Just a quick thank you to all our speakers as well. I'm sure that was really interesting and informative for everyone that's joined. Hopefully it's given you a bit of a flavour for who we are, what we do, and the opportunities that we have. If anyone has got any other questions, just pop them in the meeting chat and I'll go through those as well for you. Just a couple of things that might kind of be useful for people to know, and some stuff that kind of we generally get asked to interview and assessment centres and things. So firstly, one for you, Ryan. So Jodie talked a lot about what she enjoys about working at J&B. What would you say that you enjoy most about working at the business?
Okay. So for me, it's got to be that team atmosphere. You know, wherever I've been in the business, in whatever role I've been doing, I've always been welcome with open arms. That could be when I'm in a site agent's role like I am now and I'm building that team, or when I was in a more junior position and I was coming into a team not really knowing a lot. You know, people are always really welcoming, and you know, made you feel like part of the business and not just like a number. So yeah, for me, it's got to be the people and the teams that you're working with.
Super, thank you, Ryan. One for potentially everyone on the call, actually. Richard kind of talked through sort of his career path, and John kind of mentioned that he's been here for quite a few years. As kind of, I think we all have, even though I look like I'm fresh out of uni, I've been here for 8 years, which is good. Obviously, I don't hate it because I'm still here. So kind of maybe John or Richard, or maybe Judith, could you kind of maybe just talk us through perhaps kind of why you've stayed at the business so long and what it is that makes us a really great place to work?
Well, I'll jump in first. I think for me, particularly, you know, even just over the past few recent years, there's always opportunities that anybody can have to leave somewhere and find another opportunity. But I've had lots of wonderful opportunities in the business. I've had lots of great experiences, and that's always kept me pretty engaged. But the one sort of factor I would always talk to people about when they say, why have you stayed somewhere for 20 odd years? Yes, it's been interesting and different, but I just have a huge amount of trust with the people I work with, and I don't think that's something that I would ever sort of cash in for anything else. So that trust and the team ethos of working with people that I really get on with, and you know, yes, there'll be a few fallings out every now and then, but actually when that does happen, you know, it's a clean slate and everybody gets on. So you know, that sort of level of confidence I have with the people around me has really sort of made me feel very secure working here for all these years. I don't know, Richard.
Probably similar for me. I'd say I've been here 20 odd years. It doesn't feel like that long. So, you know, I've enjoyed what I've done. I've always enjoyed the variety. So, you know, I've done quite a few different roles since I've been here, and you know, I've worked with lots of different people and involved with lots of different projects, lots of different clients, and that continues to change all the time. You know, in the type of business we are, you know, we get new opportunities coming in, so we get the opportunity to be able to give people exposure to something new, whether that be a new type of work, a new client, a new geography. So yeah, I think the variety for me, I'm not going to lie, there's been some tough times along the way. You know, not every day has been brilliant, and there's been days where it's been hard work, and there's been days where, you know, we've maybe had to make some tough decisions. But yeah, in the main, I think, you know, that if you don't enjoy being somewhere, probably you're in the wrong job, aren't you? So yeah, I've enjoyed it all the time I've been here.
Super. Both really good answers and really positive as well, which is good. Quite a good question here. Not sure who's actually best placed to answer this. Maybe Jodie or Ryan, actually. So what's the sort of team reporting for a site agent? Do they generally have contact with project managers, or does the role kind of fit differently in our business? And what is the link with sort of working supervisors, foremen, both roles part of the same sort of branch of the business, if that makes sense?
Yeah. Do you want to go, Jodie, or shall I answer?
I'll let you go, Ryan.
Okay. So in terms of upstream reporting, we do have project managers, and we also have more ordinarily contracts managers. What I would say that might be a little bit different to other businesses, the contracts managers and project managers are quite active on site, so they'll come out, depending on the project you're on really, but certainly where I am now, at least once a week, you'll see the contracts manager. And to be honest, I work very closely with him. So there's certain things that he's good at and there's certain things that I'm good at. So you really can bounce off each other in terms of, you know, where your strengths and weaknesses are. Next bit was, what is the link with the working supervisor, foreman, and both roles part of the same branch of the business? So yeah, certainly in terms of foremen, so there's different levels of foremen. So we have foreman, general foreman, what we call a lead hand is almost like your ganga man. And yeah, so they would report directly into you as a site manager. But at the same time, you may have your site engineers there who can help support with that. So it really depends, and kind of like I spoke about a bit earlier, you know, it's how you want to form your team. So if you want to form it a slightly different way, then you have the free rein as a site manager to do that. And it's generally what works for you. I don't know if you'd agree with that, Jodie.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with all of that. Sort of project managers and contract managers are always sort of really quite involved, and I think the team as a whole, that they get, everyone's really involved, and I think it's that good communication and sort of that team spirit, if you like, that makes us successful, really.
I think maybe if I was just a, oh, sorry, Creature, I was just going to add and build on to that. It's that triangle model that I spoke about, Ruben. So, you know, this idea that we have an operational, a commercial, and a design sort of members of the team. You know, the site manager is the operational part of that triangle, and that triangle model is replicated above. So it goes to a contracts manager, an ops manager, and even to myself as an ops director. But the structure of how we flex the teams to deliver a job often depends on the complexity of the job and the scale and the size of the job. You know, if we're looking after a 30-odd million pound scheme, that'll be a very different structure to, you know, a £500,000 sort of scheme. So it's all very flexible, but we've always tried to keep quite a short management chain, so it's quite shallow, so that everybody kind of gets to know each other and we all work together and support each other. I don't know if I've just said what you were going to say, Richard, or whether there's anything you'd add to that.
I was just going to add one little bit to that answer for Ruben, that we because we're an organisation that employs our own site resource, we're a little bit different to maybe some organisations in that regard, that site agents are directly responsible for those resources on site. So it's not a case of managing subcontractors who manage a resource. You know, the lead hands, the foreman work for the agent on a site. So in terms of, you know, planning work or allocating tasks or putting sort of resources to work, that's all part of the agent's job. So that might be a little bit different to some organisations.
Super, thank you for that. One that actually might be quite useful for people to have the detail on is probably one for you, Judith. So could you maybe just talk a little bit around kind of the company benefits package and what that looks like? Because I know kind of things like our pension are actually really good, so it might be useful just to point that out for people.
Yeah, thanks, Charlotte. I will. I'll go through some of the core benefits within the package, just so people get a flavour of them. So you're right, our group personal pension, I think, is particularly good. So we have quite a lot of flexibility around it, but most people opt to put 5% contributions in themselves, because the company will then put 10% contributions in. there is flexibility to go to 3 and 6, 4 and 8, but like I say, most people choose 5 and 10 because that's such a great level of pension to be contributing on a monthly basis. Outside of pension, we have 26 days holiday plus the statutory bank holidays, so 34 in total. There's also the ability to buy an additional 5 days holiday each year and spread the cost of that over the year, giving people plenty of chance to have a bit of a rest and a break from work as well. We've got a really good set of health provisions, a company funded private medical insurance through Bupa. We've also got a cash plan with Westfield Health, which is a really great way of getting support around some of those everyday health benefits, optical, dental, physio type support, and it includes an employee assistance programme. And then we've also got a really great income protection insurance scheme for employees should somebody unfortunately be off long term, you know, having an operation or something like that, to help support them during that period. Mike mentioned bonus earlier, so if the business is making money, we like to share a percentage of that with employees when we can, and that's definitely happened in my most times in my 21 years of working for JM Bentley. And then just to give you an idea of some of the quirky things that we also have within our package, so quite topical, we give a turkey or a voucher at Christmas to help people enjoy the festive season. So hopefully that gives people a bit of a flavour of what we have on offer.
Super, thanks Judith. Couple kind of maybe around sort of development and opportunities and that kind of thing, which might be useful for people. So we've kind of talked about the fact that we've got opportunities all across the business, north and south. Could someone maybe just jump in and kind of chat through sort of if people have the opportunity to move around? So obviously, as we've said, we've got opportunities all over, so people aren't generally restricted to kind of one area. So it might be useful just to kind of chat through kind of how we manage that and the different opportunities that we have in the business, if that makes sense.
Yeah, shall I go for that one, Charlotte? So
yeah, can do.
As Diana mentioned, if people click on the website, it will show particular roles that or particular vacancies that we have at the minute, as in specific roles. So if we need a site manager currently to fill a vacancy in Thames, that will show on there. But I think it's important to stress that we are happy to talk to people in all of our regions. The business changes shape quite often. So, you know, as one client gets busy, another client gets quiet. So the opportunities quite quickly move around the business. That also throws open opportunities for people internally as well. So we have quite a few people who've joined the business in one area and then chosen for all sorts of lifestyle reasons to move to a different area. We are able to offer that. You know, I can speak from personal experience there that I joined the business in Skipton. I currently live in the Midlands in Shropshire. So, you know, I chose to move for lifestyle reasons. That is open to people. So I would encourage anybody to apply, even if you don't see a vacancy in a particular area you're interested in. Please send in your CV anyway. We'll still talk to people. And importantly, if you think, well, I'm not sure where I want to be, or in a few years' time I may want to move, you know, brilliant. Look, we're still more than willing to have conversations with people on that basis.
Super, thanks Richard. Another one kind of around sort of like development sort of that kind of thing. So Ryan sort of talked about how he's been supported through his studies, and I can vouch for that. I have been as well, which is really nice. Could we kind of just touch on how we support kind of maybe our experienced colleagues? So obviously we do a lot with kind of placements and grads and that kind of thing. But maybe someone could just chat through how we support our more experienced colleagues or people that maybe want to develop some sort of key skills in a specific area, that sort of thing.
Yeah, maybe if I jump in that. I mean, I do a lot of work with the people who want to sort of follow an ICE professional qualification route, and that isn't just down to graduates. That can be people across many different roles at many different levels. But outside of that, we do, you know, we try to do quite a lot of other training and development that does more leadership type skills, personal impact training, all of those different aspects. So we understand that developing people across the whole suite of their competencies and capabilities, whether that be technical, managerial, leadership, commercial awareness, safety awareness, is really important to making people successful. And, you know, as myself and Richard explained through our careers, we've been moved through different roles. That has been to give us that wider experience. So sometimes the roles that we've taken on has helped us grow as experienced individuals, and probably fundamental to the reason that we undertake the roles that we currently have now. So it's all through those different sort of either on the job learning opportunities, but also off the job learning opportunities, and sort of supporting people through wider professional qualifications if they want. You know, all of those aspects are open to everybody. When it comes to a lot of the personal development, you know, say it to everybody, it's really about what you want to get out of it, because if people put that type of effort in, then you will be supported by this business. But it takes you to put the effort in, and then you get the reward out the other side. And you know, I can vouch for that through many of my own personal experiences from an engineering route, but there's people who've taken it from commercial safety. Charlotte, you've done media type training type qualifications and growth. So, you know, there's lots of opportunities there. So if people are engaged and people want that opportunity, then we're always open to listening to being able to support people where we can.
Super, thanks, John. I think there might just be one more question coming through, and then we'll wrap it up. But yeah, just thank you again to everyone that's joined this evening. If you do have kind of any questions afterwards, as Diana mentioned, we've got a recruitment email address, so you can contact us on that, which is just recruitment@jmbentley.co.uk. And I'm sure any of us on this call would be fine if you want to reach out to us on LinkedIn or anything like that. I'll just fire this last question at someone. Okay, so this is quite a good one around kind of like mentoring and how we manage sort of inductions. So obviously we don't kind of just throw people straight in at the deep end, even though that's sometimes a good method of learning. But do we provide shadowing in the first kind of few days just to get people up to speed, that kind of thing? Ryan, Jodie, that might be one for you, or whoever wants to pick it up.
I can answer this one. So I remember sort of probably my first few weeks up to maybe a month when I joined the company. Sort of the first day was sort of a company induction at Skipton, but then in the weeks that followed that, I was put with like a more experienced site agent, and they just sort of showed me the ropes, really, explained everything, and just sort of helped to feel a bit more at ease, because what you're saying is right, it is intimidating, and I think especially for people who have not had any site experience before, it can be the case even more so. So yeah, you sort of won't just arrive and then get thrown onto a site and say do everything. They will show you how to do it, and even sort of when that period's passed, I think there's back to the teamwork and people knowing each other. There's always people there for help and advice. If ever I'm not sure of something, I'll just pick up the phone, and everyone's there and they're willing to help out.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Probably one other thing that I would mention is a lot of the time you are assigned a buddy. So when you are new to this business, you're assigned a buddy. So it would be somebody in a similar role to you to help you familiarise yourself with the systems and how things work. Because, you know, whilst there will be a lot of similarities, there's also a lot that's different. I'm sure every company has a different way of, just for an example, procuring materials. Richard mentioned about the labour and how we have our own labour. So there's a way that we do that will be very different to organisations that aren't that way. But yeah, also as whenever we bring in apprentices, they're always put with a mentor. So I know I've been a mentor for a few apprentices over the past few years, and yeah, you really do see the benefit in that, because like you say, it gives you that proper introduction, as opposed to, like Joe said, just ending up in the deep end and, you know, a bit like a rabbit in the headlights.
If I could just jump in there, I suppose from my perspective, you know, I moved organisations after being somewhere for an awful long time. So my experience was that I was put with a very good mentor, and we worked together probably for probably 4 weeks. And to be fair, that mentor, we've stayed in touch, and we're good friends. But I think the big thing for me is understanding. It's quite intimidating. Intimidating, certainly going from one organisation to the other. So for us, it's really, really important that we give new employees that come to the organisation that level of support. So we've almost all talked about mentors and that, but it's important that we get the right mentors and make sure we're giving them the time. So, you know, the first impressions of the organisation is really, really important, and that we will give you the right foundations to be able to kickstart your career within JM Bentley. Thanks, Charlotte.
Super, thank you all. I think we can probably leave it there so everyone can get some of their evening back. But thank you everyone for joining this evening, and thank you to all our presenters as well. You did a fab job. Diana, do you want to just go back a slide and just flash up the recruitment email address and the website for a sec? So we'll just leave it on this slide for a second. So yeah, as you can see, all the current opportunities that we've got are on our website, which is motmarkbentley.co.uk. And as Diana mentioned, you can contact the recruitment team on recruitment@jmbentley.co.uk. And you can follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter as well, and keep up to date with company news and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, unless anyone's got any final words, we can leave it there, I think.
I'll just add as well that the session has been recorded, so we can share it around with you all after the session as well, and it will be available on YouTube at some point. But as Charlotte mentioned, if you've got any particular questions, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't done so already, or email the recruitment inbox, and we'll be happy to have any informal chats with any of you that might be interested in an opportunity. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone for attending, and for our speakers as well. Been really appreciated.
Thanks everyone. Good night.
Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. See you.